This has to be one of the biggest crowds so far. Let's give everybody a big round of applause. Thank you for showing up. For those of you that have never attended Mayor's Night Out, it's a monthly traveling forum. We go all over the city of Hammond. We only miss 1 month a year. It's July, so this is our last one for 2 months. So we sort of enjoy ourselves over the next month. The reason being, the last Thursday of next month, we're going to be at Festival of the Lakes. Actually, it's not the last Thursday, but that's the reasoning behind it. We're working so hard getting ready for Festival of the Lakes. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that. But basically, Mayor's Night Out is driven from questions. Where is the back table today? It's such a packed room. Oh, okay. We got Megan at the back table, as you can see over there. She's got forms back there. What you do is you go up and fill out the form and put down your question. If you have a question about code enforcement, you write it there, and then Donna will read it, and then I'll pass it off to Kelly, and he'll have to answer the question. The people you see surrounding me are department heads or the designated appointees for each department in the city of Hammond. Just about, in fact, everybody in every department is represented. If I can't answer a question directly, somebody here can. So we're going to start off and introduce ourselves and who's here and which department they're from. Donna, first off, Donna is the special events coordinator. She is the moderator.
I introduced myself to the crowd. Welcome, everyone.
Nice, thanks, Donna.
Bill Taylor, Planning and Development.
Rick Zing, Port Authority.
Beth Jacobson, Economic Development.
Chris Sackler, Legal Aid Clinic.
Lolita Wings, Human Relations. Courtney Stanswell, College Development.
Bob Lenny, Controller's Office. Brian Miller, Police Department.
Kathy Casper, Sand Recycling.
Sharon Daniels, Personnel.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department.
Kurt Cook, Building.
Jenny Perez, Sanitation.
Billy Green, Code Enforcement.
Good evening, Scott Mitchell, Sewer Department.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental. Stan Destotny, City Engineer.
Tom Daverton, Mayor's Office.
There's an unusually large gap. Nobody wants to fill the seats around me today. I don't understand. But, hi, I'm Mayor Tom.
Alana Miller, Community Development.
Charlie Blaine, Hammond Park Department.
I'm getting a complex. Nobody wants to sit up here today. I want to remind everybody, first off, that this is being filmed live. So a lot of stuff, it's easier if Donna reads a question or holds the microphone up to you. She's not trying to be rude. She wants to get it close so that they can hear it on TV. This is on GoHammond.tv. It's on the internet. Usually it's streaming live, but we couldn't make that happen today. And I apologize for those at home that wanted to see it live. They won't realize it, that I'm apologizing until tomorrow when we have it up on the internet and you can watch it again, okay? But I am apologizing. We're trying to make these live as they happen. Today we couldn't make it work. So we apologize in advance. Donna, you want to start off with a little preview about Mayor's Night, or about Festival of the Lakes?
Sure, Mayor. We start Festival of the Lakes July 19th with the Odyssey Boat Cruise. Those tickets are on sale now if you're interested in going. It's a great, economical, really nice time. The Odyssey is a luxury dinner liner that comes down from Navy Pier in Chicago, picks us up at the Hammond Marina, and we cruise the Chicago skyline for 4 hours, and it's $100 per person. Beer, wine, juice, and soda, your sit-down dinner, and your hors d'oeuvres are included. That is very cheap compared to what you'd have to pay downtown at Navy Pier.
What is the price for that downtown?
I think last I checked it was like $170.
Okay, and then you have to park your car and stuff like that.
You gotta park, you gotta pay tolls, you gotta get downtown. We're not charging anyone for parking at the Hammond Marina, and it's $100 per person. You can come to the Hammond Civic Center and buy a ticket if you're really interested. See me after the show here, and I'll help you out, okay? On Wednesday night, July 20th, we open the festival at 5 p.m. with the New Orleans Bow and the Big Easy Band, then Together, then the Whispers, okay? I'm so excited about that because I love the song Rock Steady.
Oh.
Yeah, and the beat goes on too.
Would you sing it, please?
And the beat goes on.
I didn't think you'd actually do it. You see how we chose her. She's not very shy. That's one of the prerequisites for the job.
On Thursday night, we're just doing something new this year. We're doing a hip-hop night. So we hired Biz Markie and Salt and Peppa, the original ladies of the hip-hop genre. They're going to be there Thursday night, starting at 7 p.m. Then Friday night, we've got our Southern Fried Rock that starts with 2 Hammond bands, Nomad Planets and Bunkertown, and then 38 Special is going to rock the house. And then Saturday's Classic Rock We have a young lady from Fort Wayne. Her name is Marnie. She's a very talented 14-year-old young lady that's going to sing for us. Then Nicole Jamros, and then Pat Benatar. And on Sunday is our Latin night with Michael Salgado and Pancho Barazza. So we're going to have a really good time. We've got our senior day planned on Friday as usual. We've got our special persons day planned on Saturday morning along with the 5K, the fishing derby. There's press kits and festival bags back there, so just grab one on your way out if you want to know anything and everything about the festival. Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Great job, Don. Now I'd like to introduce your councilman from the 2nd District, Councilman Al Salinas. Come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out to the Mayor's Night Out. Just want to say one thing. This guy's doing an excellent job. I like the way he has his whole team up here. Can ask questions, and that's what it's all about. Bringing it out to the people, the residents of the city of Hammond. I'd just like to thank him one more time and all his staff, Donna, for putting it all together. And for everybody showing up. I know it's the weather's very, very nice, and we all want to get out of here as soon as possible, but I got about 10 more minutes and I'm leaving. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. So, but I just like to thank everybody for showing up. It shows that you guys you care about the city of Hammond and you want to know what's going on. Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Like I said, what we try to do is keep it on topic. Donna acts as our, what's the reference I always use? Oprah Winfrey?
Oprah, but
Oprah.
yeah.
Springer,
FYI.
whatever, depends on the situation. Sometimes it's Springer. But, so Donna is going to try to keep it on topic. So let's say the question is about code enforcement. I'm not giving anybody hints, but I'm putting Kelly on notice. If the question is about code enforcement, we'll read off the written question. That's how we start. And then once the written question is read off, if you'll raise your hand, if you have a question that also pertains to code enforcement in that case, raise your hand. We try to stay on topic, okay? If you raise your hand and say, hey, I got a question about, the animal control. It's like, okay, usually you would want to write down a question so that we can start a new topic, okay? So we try to keep it on topic. Like I said, everything's taped, it's live, so thanks for coming out. Let's go ahead and start, Donna.
Hey, Kelly, why don't you just get comfy with that mic, because we got quite a few for you, sir.
Kelly's the head of Hammond Code Enforcement, so.
Several regarding the status of sidewalks and curbs for wheelchairs and walkers.
We'll get Stan Dostotny at the ready with his Stan's the city engineer. So Kelly, want to start? Well, first off.
Yeah. You want me to just read this one and we can start from
there?
there?
We'll start.
Okay. What can be done to the sidewalks that can't be used by wheelchairs? And what can be done about the...
Do you have any locations in particular? I mean, I imagine we have hundreds of miles.
It doesn't say exactly, but this resident lives in the area on Michigan.
Okay. Councilman?
Yes, first of all, we have a sidewalk program here in the city of Hammond, and I allocated some money for out of the gaming revenue to address these problems here in our 2nd district, and I do have everything's marked off. It's not marked off yet, but everything will be done as far as the sidewalks for handicap accessible, because I see that a lot of it's cracked up, a lot of it's bumpy, so I got it all being taken care of.
How much?
It's unfortunate that we have a strike right now, I guess, and it's affecting the sidewalk, the road projects and the sidewalk program that we are. But as soon as that thing's over, I think it's over today, isn't it?
It's settled, yeah.
Yeah, it's settled today, so
strike's over.
we'll be able to address that sidewalk program. But I am on top of things as far as getting it all done throughout the 5111 across the street. They had addressed some problems with the handicap sidewalks, so I just got it all done here. So I already told our sidewalk engineer, I think it's Jonathan, is that Stan? Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan over in the engineering department takes care of the sidewalk program. I'd like to comment on this. All of our streets are all handicap accessible when they're reconstructed. There may be a few locations through the city that presently don't have handicap ramps. Eventually, all of them will. If you know of any spot that's a problem, either call your councilman or call the engineering department.
Or call
Take
both.
a look at it and see if we can fix it.
So sometimes what happens, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, Stan, and we'll come back to you. Sometimes what happens is you say, oh, I'm calling Councilman Al. And you call Councilman Al, and for some reason or other, maybe it doesn't get through the engineer, or you call me, and then you say, well, I'm not gonna talk to councilman, I'm gonna talk to the mayor, maybe for some other reason it doesn't get through. What we're saying is, if I'm you, and I know there's a problem in front of the Renaissance with the sidewalks, I'm calling Stan, the engineer, I'm calling Mayor Tom, putting it on Mayor Tom's radar, and I'm calling Al Salinas and putting it on his radar. And guess what? If you don't hear something in a couple weeks, I call Stan, I call Mayor Tom, I call Councilman Al. And you can show up to Mayor's Night and say, I called you 2 times, Mayor, and I called you, Councilman, 2 times, and I'm not hearing anything. And guess what? We start moving. I mean, not that it takes poking like that, but poking sometimes, what do they say? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Sometimes you say, well, I called Councilman Al and nothing ever happened. I think you should call again. I think you should keep showing up to Mayor's Night and get in our face and say, nothing's being done, Mayor. That's how stuff gets done. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Stan. But I would cover my bases.
You're the boss.
Would cover you. Sorry, but you were on a roll and I interrupted you. So, sorry about that.
Yeah, if somebody has a specific location, we'll be glad to take a look at it, we'll be glad to fix it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sidewalks.
Over there by St. Margaret's Hospital,
Okay.
right on the side where the oncology is, you go to get off, you can't. Can't get on, can't get off, not with a wheelchair.
Okay. You want to just take?
If it's on hospital property, you're gonna have to talk to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hospital. But if it's on Holman Avenue, yeah, we could.
Is that what you're talking about? Holman Avenue, or actually when you're up in the hospital property?
There's some on the side and there's some on the.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? What we're gonna do is, if you have a complaint like that, we'll just write it down. And we have a guy that's his job is to go inspect sidewalks, and what you're gonna find is, like the streets, you have more need than money. Okay? I mean, we have how many miles of streets, Dan?
About 286 miles of streets.
How many miles is that?
100, well,
Double
double
that.
that, yeah,
Right.
double that.
Okay? So we have 550 miles of sidewalk, and we have maybe 1 million to deal with it. And you can get some sidewalk done for that money, but you can't get 550 miles done. So what we try to do is prioritize, and the good way to prioritize is taking complaints like we're taking right now. So we'll take them, we'll give them to Jonathan and say, Jonathan, go over to St. Margaret's and tell us what we got, okay? Because we got 550 miles worth of sidewalk. So I think this is a good way to handle it, and then follow it up, all right? Great, yeah. Hold on, we'll stick with Donna, I can't answer. Yeah, sorry.
Soul Avenue, after you cross the first set of tracks, it's real bumpy, I have
Okay.
to ride in the street.
Okay,
And
right
the
over here.
cars want us to ride on the sidewalk, and we can't ride on the sidewalk
Okay.
because of the dips.
Soul, north of the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Willow Court? Willow Court.
I got to go all the way to
Okay. You got them going all the way? Good, Councilman. Councilman Al says he's got sidewalks going on Soul all the way to Willow Court. Thank you, Al. All right, what's next?
She wanted to comment about that same section.
Same section. Sidewalk complaints. Seems like we're on that topic. Obviously, this is a super important topic in this neighborhood because obviously I think there's a higher percentage of people that use wheelchairs in this part of the city, and we should make sure that the sidewalks are in tip-top shape. We're all on the same page, okay? So I think the point is being made. So what I think we should do is just sort of field sidewalk complaints from you right now, okay? And we'll write them down and we'll follow it up, right?
Yeah, we're coming from the Social Security office, and you wanna go to.
On
the
Douglas?
post office. Yeah.
And you want to go where? To the post office?
Post office.
Down Douglas?
The post office, where the trucks pull in, there's no ramp to get down, you gotta go all the way back to Social Security.
Is that on post office property you're talking about, or you're talking on Douglas Street?
It's on, well, I guess it's post office property, or Douglas Street.
Well, we can't get into the property. We can get you to the property.
It's on the same
It's a good-
sidewalk that goes.
I think you're making a good point regardless. You're saying people are using wheelchairs to get to the Social Security office, and we should have a good sidewalk system around there.
When you wanna go to the post office, you go all the way, and then when you.
Point made.
Trucks and you can't get down.
Stan, can we follow up Douglas Street?
I'll take a look at it.
Okay, all right, good point. Regardless of if it's whose property it is, good point. Douglas Street, Social Security office, okay? What else? Sidewalk complaints. Yeah. Navy shirt. That was 6 years United States Navy.
I don't know if you remember me, but you came around for asking for votes and you stopped by my house.
Let me guess, hold on. You live in Hessville, right?
Nope.
Dang, I thought, all right. Never mind then.
I live on Calumet Avenue.
Okay,
Okay, and
what block?
all I ask is, about my curbs and my sidewalk.
You in-
Because I've been patching for about 20 years now.
Are you in
Curbs
Robertsdale?
are- What's that?
You in Robertsdale?
Yes.
Okay.
He's right at
No,
118th
Right.
and Calumet.
Yeah.
On the east side, right?
And I called a couple times too, and they said they were gonna give me a call back and let me know what's going on, and I never got a call back.
This is why we
That's
do
all
Mayor's
I
Night
asked is
Out.
a call and let me know what's happening.
This is even better, actually, because now everybody gets to know that I didn't make a phone call back to you, which is part of the reason we do Mayor's Night, okay? So I appreciate you being here.
Okay.
What's the issue again? It's a sidewalk in front of your house?
Yeah.
In 1800 block of, okay.
Calumet.
It's not Calumet, it's 118th. It's 118th on the side of his house.
Okay.
On the side of my house, because the state takes care of that.
Oh, no, I haven't knocked on a lot of doors. I'm done, like.
Right across from Strax.
Okay, alright. No, I know the area. For some reason, I mixed you up with a gentleman from Pascal, and then I mixed you up with somebody on New York Avenue that I talked to about it.
Like at that.
Hammond has 30,000 houses, and I knocked on a lot of those
I know what
doors.
you mean.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, all I wanted to.
Stan, did you get that complaint? Oh, that's the actual written question? Great, thank you, sir. I'm sorry about that. Okay. That's why we do Mayor's Night. A lot of people, when we first started Mayor's Night, they used to say all the questions were screened. We didn't answer questions. It's hogwash. We've done this over 80 times now, and we do it the same way every time. If you write down a question, we've had people write down questions that said, I think you're a bad mayor, and we read it off, and I disagree with them. I don't know what else to say. I think I'm pretty good, but I mean, whatever. You know, some people disagree. So. Anyway, Donna, let's do the next question.
Okay, Mayor, the next two are in reference to the garage sale ordinance.
Okay.
One person says it needs to be revised. One person says, why do you have to have a permit and how much? And what are the chances if you don't have a permit, what are the circumstances?
Okay, so we've had three written questions about garage sales. You just summarized all three. Okay, and then we're going to talk about this. So if we don't hit it, please raise your hand about the garage sale ordinance. All right? Is Kantar here? Yeah. It's a big room. Hi, Chris. Where are you? This is our city attorney extraordinaire, Chris Kantar. Hi, Chris. You were hiding.
No, I had court, so I didn't get here till after it started.
Okay. But you
All
were
right, well, the
still
question
technically
about the
hiding
garage-
because you're around the corner.
The garage sale ordinance, there is no fee. There's no fee to get.
Well, why don't you just sort of explain the ordinance?
There was a concern by one of the councilmen that people were selling at garage sales, not their stuff, but the stuff that they just broke into somebody else's garage and stole. So obviously, if you're willing to place your name upon your garage sale, then you probably are not one of those persons who are selling things that came out of somebody else's garage. So all that we ask is any person who wishes to have a garage sale, let us know. You can send us a letter, you can send us an email, you can come in person, come to the Board of Works, let us know what day you're gonna do it, and where you live and your name, and we'll give you a piece of paper. It's approved every Thursday at the Board of Works. It's very simple, there's no cost. However, this way though, if a lot of things go missing on a certain block, we will know who happened to have garage sales around that period of time, and it saves everybody a lot of running around.
Okay, so the purpose of the ordinance was to prevent problems. As far as, we have some people that have daily garage sales, all right? And this is not exaggeration. During the summertime, they'll have garage sales 3, 4, 5 times a week. It's like, you know, they're not out there monitoring it. They're just sort of hanging out. If somebody comes up there, they go out there and they meet with them. Now, technically, if you have regular business like that being conducted in your residential area, you're sort of broaching into a commercial district. If you're continuously having a garage sale at your house and your house is zoned residential, you're sort of stretching the definition of what residential is. It's like if you have a house on a corner and you say, you know what, I don't like my house. I'm gonna open a McDonald's. You would have to go through a process with this. You would have to rezone your property and give people an opportunity to say, I don't want to live next to a McDonald's. That house is zoned residential, okay? This is sort of, now it's a ridiculous example, making a house a McDonald's, but what I'm saying is, if you have continuous garage sales operated out of your residential zoned area, you're sort of treading on the definition of what is business and what is residential. So the council passed an ordinance, and I signed it, that said you only have one garage sale without permission a year, outside of like citywide events and stuff like that. Now, it seems extreme, I agree, all right? However, how many violations of this ordinance have we issued thus far?
I have prosecuted, I'm the prosecutor of the city court on Wednesdays. I've been prosecuting the city court and I haven't seen any come across. And now we have had some people, for example, we had this one individual who's doing an estate sale for his deceased sister, and he came in and requested 3 consecutive Fridays, and he was granted permission.
Wow.
And there was no issue with it.
See, the thing is, it's like, I hate to say it's like a speed limit, but it is like a speed limit. You know, you go to some areas and the speed limit goes down to 20, and you're going, why is the speed limit 20 here, right? I'm like, nobody goes 20. Everybody's going 30, 33, 34 miles an hour, and yet the speed limit's 20, right? So technically, well, I'm not talking about school zone. We know why that's at. But what I'm saying is, even a lot of times the police officers don't enforce it. What I'm saying is, we have an ordinance that hasn't been enforced thus far. What would get enforced? I imagine if you were flaunting the law, like if you had daily garage sales nonetheless, and you said, the law be damned, we're going to have a garage sale every single day here, I have that right, you'd probably experience some trouble from the city. That's how I've chosen to look at that so far. I realize it was controversial with the council. I really don't think this is the most important thing facing Hammond residents. And the reality of the situation is nobody's been cited for it yet. The purpose is to prevent the repeat offenders. That's why they passed it. I understand why they passed it, and I also understand why some people are rubbed the wrong way. But the fact is, we haven't enforced it tooth and nail. If you were a problem with daily garage sales, you'd probably experience problems with this.
That's correct, Karen. I mean, not to mention, there's nothing wrong with a garage sale, but if somebody does do it every day, there's a lot of traffic. The people who actually live on that block have a hard time parking in front of their own houses because people visit the garage sale are parking there. There's also a problem with a lot of people who like to put signs up on city property, you know, on our brand new ornamental lighting. When they tear it off, they tear the paint off, and then it starts to rust. So there is a lot of damage. There's people who put up signs and then don't go and collect their signs, so they just leave them in the parkways. So there are a lot of problems. Anytime anybody wishes to do something, there is always a cost associated with it. And this is just a way of balancing those costs.
Okay. Now, we've explained where the law came from. Now I'm going to let you guys ask questions. I want to make one more point, and then we'll come to you, okay? One more point. Chris, in our neighborhood, we just had an entire wide block garage sale. Did anybody have to apply to the city?
Yeah, actually, I made Karen Maravilla do it.
Did you really?
Yes, and she was the host. There's no cost. There's no cost associated. But what she did is she asked all the residents who was going to participate. She had everybody's name placed.
And she submitted to the Board of Works.
And she submitted to the Board of Works. Anybody doesn't believe me can go get a copy from the Board of Works. She put all the addresses on there, and then she held the permit in case anybody should come and question it.
But nobody came in question.
Nobody came in question.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, questions? Judy?
I think that it should be revised where it says 48 hours.
What's that? I'm sorry.
The law says 48 hours. You can have it like 2 days. Some people have, get things together and they might have like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you could just extend it like another day.
Chris, does the law say 48 hours?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Go on.
The other. Oh, that's okay. I was good. Okay, I'm going to have them all let her answer all of them. I talked to her, so I know what her answers are. The other thing is, she was talking about the block sale. One of our people on our block called today, and they said that everybody on the block had to come in and get a permit, request a permit, and that was one of my revisions. You have to go in and get your permit, and then you have to go pick it up when it's stamped. I think that needs to be revised, because that's a hardship for people like myself who are driving and handicapped and things like that. A lot of people don't drive. Maybe you could do that by mail and just let people know by phone that it's approved, so that would cut down with the cost of gas and everything.
Okay, do we have Chris answer? Chris?
Mayor, the reason we have people come and pick it in is because we have Board of Works on Thursday, and usually they want to do their garage sale that Friday, and so there is no time to mail it even in Hammond, because the mail doesn't get picked up at City Hall till 5 o'clock on Thursday. So anybody who wants to do it that same weekend can come in, but if you want to do it in advance and say, I want to have a garage sale October 15th, then you just mail it in and we'll mail it back. It's not a big deal, but because the meetings are on Thursdays and most garage sales are on the weekend, that's why we ask people to come pick it up. They can send a self-addressed stamped envelope, or they can just say, mail me a copy. It's really not a big deal. And if somebody needs to have it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they just put it on the application so that everybody knows when they're doing it. And we've never made everybody individually come in to have a permit. When it's a group, we just ask for all the addresses in one location so we know who's participating.
Okay, I'll talk to Chris about who called in and we were told, somebody from our block was told everybody had come in today, so. They asked me to ask that for them.
Okay.
I would like to see the whole thing repealed. I think the law department, the police department, the board of works, everybody, they've got enough to do about something like this, but that's just my personal opinion after being a former city employee. But I have yard sales for Haven House, and that's my big concern. I need to have those for Haven House.
Okay, I appreciate it, Judy. Any other questions about the garage sale ordinance issue? Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next topic.
Okay, Mayor, looks like some dilapidated building issues. A building on State Street across from the library, the roof is caved in and all the windows are broke. Why can't it be torn down?
State Street across from the library, who wants it? Kurt? Kurt Cook's Hammond's building commissioner?
We actually have several.
Microphone.
We actually have several on State Street that are currently on the demolition list. If you had a particular address, I could tell you if that's one of them.
The one, you know, it's across the street from the library.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure that is one that is on the demolition list. Will be set for hearing in September. But we'll definitely follow up on it because we want to get rid of the bad buildings.
Hey Kurt, how many buildings do you demolish a year through building?
Between 70 and 100. It all depends on the size of the building and how much.
Between 70 and 100 buildings a year?
Correct.
And how much does it cost to bring down a building like a typical house?
A typical house might be $7,000 to $9,000. Some of the larger structures could be $30,000, $40,000, and even more.
So I mean, typically about $1 million a year in demolitions?
I think we're budgeted $1 million a year in demolitions, and then
you get money through CDBG?
Right.
Right. Cool. All right, thank you. Another question?
Okay, I want to know about an update on 4511 Cameron, the house before 4513 Cameron. Is it going to be sold just as it is?
These are quite very particular questions. This is like, I mean, if anybody knows this off the top of their head, good, because they're on top of their game, but it's hard we have 30,000 homes in Hammond, so I can't tell you this house for the particularities. So I'm going to pass to Kurt or Kelly. Do you guys know 4513 Cameron?
4511.
4511? Good. See, they're on there again. Good.
It is on the demo list.
It's on the demo list. Does anybody want to add any dialogue to this, or just say it's on the demo list?
I believe it is on the demo list. The bank has stepped up and I believe they want to try to fix the property and make it whatever corrections are necessary. I don't believe they've come in for the demo inspection yet. We have a hearing on this actually tomorrow in front of Board of Works. We have about approximately 30 properties that will be heard and the status updated on if the banks are going to be taking over and fixing these buildings up, or if the owners are going to step forward and fix or demolish them themselves. 4511 is a building that I believe is in the bank's hands at this point.
Okay.
This particular house doesn't have any gutters, and this is my family right here. This particular house does not have any gutters, and when it rains or when it snows, there's so much water by my aunt's house, and she's an elderly lady. And I'm scared she's gonna fall.
Okay, I mean, this house, 4511 Cameron, it's on the demo list. What does that mean time-wise, Kelly?
I'm not sure where it's at in the status of, Kurt's got some information on that.
Yeah, it's set for hearing tomorrow. If the Board of Public Works affirms the demolition, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks to advertise and go out and get the bids, and about 3 or 4 more weeks after that to award the bids. So everything's done in a public hearing.
So like if somebody shows up and says, I don't want it demolished, this is my house, then that slows things down, right?
Yeah, it definitely slows things down.
Let's say like hire a lawyer and stuff like that, which typically happens, right?
It happens quite often.
So like, if things go well tomorrow, you can get through that phase without opposition, which moves it pretty quick, right?
Exactly. But the ultimate goal is to get the house fixed up. If somebody were to want to fix it up, that would not only be a benefit to you, but a benefit to all the neighborhoods. And I think part of the question was what requirements are put on it when they're fixed up. And we basically make them bring that home up to current building codes, not necessarily the building codes that were in effect at the time. We also have the people post a bond, and we use that bond money if they don't fulfill on their promises. We use their money to tear down their home, which is kind of an insult, but it protects your taxpayers' dollars. We also monitor it during the construction period. We never take it off of the demolition list. What we do is we set it for status every 30 or 60 days. And if at any point in that time we don't continue on with their promises, then we can always come back in with the affirmed demolition order.
Now, would you recommend to them, they're obviously very concerned about this property, to show up to the Board of Works hearing tomorrow?
I don't think it would do you any good to show up tomorrow. I would certainly give me a call afterwards, or maybe on Friday morning, and I can let you know what happened. But if the people show up tomorrow, they're going to automatically have a right, because they're property owners, they have rights too, to contest the demolition and try to get it off of the list. If they don't show up, it would automatically be affirmed for demolition, and then again, you'd just be wasting your time and coming down.
And
always free to attend, just not necessary.
And the thing is, I understand how concerned you are, but we can't just, even if we went by and said, look at that piece of property, it's in horrible shape, we can't just say, okay, we're tearing it down tomorrow. We have to go through a set process that the state gives to us, and that's what we're doing. The good news is we're moving on your property. And literally, we only get to pick like 100 properties in the city a year. Yours is one of those 100. Now, if they contest it with a lawyer, if they show up and say we want to fix it up, it slows things down. If tomorrow goes well, you should see it down in the next couple months. Okay? So, I mean, that's good news. And I would recommend you call Kurt, and I will take your mother's question also. Yes, ma'am.
I'm concerned because they have a for sale sign, and that place need to be seen by the code enforcement because it has a lot of issues.
Ma'am, I'm pretty sure if it's on the demo list, I'm almost positive these guys have inspected it.
It was inhabited by many people. I mean, incredible things happen in that house.
But the good news, ma'am, it is as long as things go well tomorrow and the owners, if the owners have it up for sale, maybe they just don't even show up. And if they don't show up, we put it on the demo list, it's moving along the process, and in the next couple months you'll see it come down and it'll be a bare lot, okay? And then you can talk to us maybe about acquiring that lot and making your yard bigger. We sometimes work with neighbors like that, but if things don't go well tomorrow, it's gonna slow it down. And we have to follow the law. Or it would be like, I can't just go up and tear down your piece of property because it's in bad shape. We have to go through a specific set procedure, okay? That's what we're doing. The good news is it's moving on your property, and you know the bad news is there's a lot more houses out there that aren't on that list that we need to get on there. So, thank you for the question. Any other questions about demos? Okay.
We've got a hoarding situation, Mayor. 4312 Hickory. The garage inside the house and outside the house have been trying to get something done for 5 years. The smell is horrible, and it's coming out of the windows. They provided pictures. They'd like a status.
Kelly, Hammond Code Enforcement, and maybe Johnny Perez, Hammond Sanitation. You might be jumping in.
I have to admit, it's been a couple months since I've been by the house. When I first went by the house, there was a considerable amount of stuff in the backyard. I did go in the house. The main level of the house was okay. It was, I wouldn't say cluttered, but there was a lot of stuff, but it was not because it was all stacked and piled, blocking aisleways, whatever. However, the garage was, or I'm sorry, the basement was a big concern of mine because there's a lot of stuff that was stacked around the furnace. I worked with the lady to get that basement cleaned out, get it away from the furnace, get rid of any fire hazard, and I've been trying to follow up with her and getting the rest of the stuff out. I believe there has been some progress in the backyard. I know there's progress in the basement. I've been in there. It's a situation that she's willing to deal with. It needs help and time. Admittedly, as I said, I have not been by there in a couple months. I was checking on her periodically. I'll make an appointment to go by there and see in suit conditions at this point.
Okay, any follow up on that? Thank you, Kelly. I think one thing that you're going to find when you talk to the department heads is they know, you may say, Mayor, 4312 Hickory, and I know where it is. I don't know what issue you're talking about, but you say 4312 Hickory to one of the guys in code enforcement or building, they know what 4312 Hickory is about. They know the issue. You got to give them credit for that. Sometimes our hands are tied about how we could deal with these issues, but it sounds like you're on it. Any follow up on that one for the person that asked the question? Do you want us to? Okay, we do have it. The good thing about you guys putting the question in writing is that question goes to the head, to the department head in this case. Kelly will get a copy of that, and it'll give him a written reminder from you that, and you guys usually follow those up anyway. So, all right. Thank you. Next question.
Moving on to police matters, sir.
Brian, how you doing?
What is to be done about gunshots and speeding late at night in the back of the building?
Speeding, I wouldn't think it would be a problem. We have speed bumps out there, don't we? Is it still a problem? Most have people going pretty high when they hit the speed bumps. In what particular area? I'll have my guys.
I think they're talking about Michigan, Chief.
Yes.
They're talking about Michigan or? And I'm right, we do have speed bumps, right? They just go over them. What particular area are we talking about?
Right back here.
Michigan, along Michigan? Please, if one person can talk at a time, we would help. I have 2 ears.
Where am I going?
Yes, sir.
Right in the back of the building. I hear it.
In the parking lot, right, sir?
Yes. I hear it right. I'm on the 5th floor. I'm on the 5th floor and I can hear it at about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Do you call us, sir? Do you call the police?
No, I haven't.
Please do. That would be very helpful. Please, anytime that you hear gunshots or what you think are gunshots, give us a call. We have a lot of police officers in the street. We like to respond and like to find out where it's coming from. Especially if we get a pattern, if we get a number of calls from the same building, we can pretty easily locate where the shooting's coming from and take action. So I'd really appreciate it if you give us a call. And it is anonymous. We don't tell anyone who called us.
Hey, Chief. I can't see you. I had a question for the police also. I know.
I specifically stood.
I know you're exactly on the opposite side. We've been working for about the past year on a program with cameras that are installed on poles in certain parts. In fact, downtown Hammond is going to be one of the heavy monitored areas with the cameras. What's the status of that? And if you wouldn't mind giving a preview of what we're talking about to the residents.
We picked 5 areas in the city of Hammond where we had a bank of crane cameras installed at each of the intersections. The first one started at State Line and Sibley and Holman. Where's the rest of them?
What's that, Chief?
Where's the rest of it? It's State Line and Sibley and Holman.
You got Tapper and
Tapper and Lyons.
No, I mean we have pretty Chris?
Lions and Tapper was one.
We got 3. Okay, you got State
Holman and Rimbach.
Holman and Rimbach was the other one. There's actually 4. Where's the other one?
Calumet and Carroll.
In Calumet and Carroll. There's actually 4 cameras at each one of those intersections. They'll actually be able to see basically in 360-degree area. We should have those cameras up within the next month. The only stall or the only problem we've had in the program is NIPSCO. NIPSCO first told us that we could put all the cameras on the same power line than they wanted. Each one billed differently. And they've just kind of changed the rules as the game goes on, so they've kind of slowed us down.
And that's a frustrating thing too, because one of the cameras that we have literally sitting on a pole with no power hooked up to it is a Tapper and Lyons. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, there was a shooting right there, and we would have caught the whole thing on tape. And that's frustrating for us because the camera's up there. We're fighting with NIPSCO right now about hooking up power to it. So.
It's been a very successful program in Calumet City. The city of Chicago's used it. A lot of other major cities have used it. It does help. In fact, Calumet City put one by a park where they had a lot of drug dealing and gang activity. And a couple of weeks later, they were looking for another place to put the camera because it dried up all the activity. So we look forward to having them up. We should have them up fairly soon before the summer's over. And hopefully it'll catch anything that happens at the parks or at those intersections.
Thank you, Chief. There was a lot of thought put into the location of those. Like State Line, got 2 cameras, right?
Sibley. They're both on the corners of Sibley. One's on State Line.
One's on. Yeah, that one that's on State Line is an area that has been known, unfortunately, over the past couple decades as an area, a hotspot for prostitution. We put a camera right there. I think that's going to put a dent in their game. I really do. I don't think they're going to be as comfortable out there with a camera being monitored by a police department. So we're trying to do everything we can to prevent a lot of what's been going on in downtown from happening. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Somebody's blocking it.
What about putting a light across the street facing this way? So when they hear the gunshots and we call the police, we can catch the speeding cars going out the gates. of residents.
I got the part about the shooting and the speeding cars. I didn't get the first part. I'm sorry. What was the question?
What about putting one across the street on Sawyer?
Oh, a camera?
A camera. So you can see them coming from around the back of the buildings from each side, 524 and 535. When you hear the gunshots and everybody, a couple of people call the police.
Right.
And they're speeding out here. Yeah, they do speed, they squeal tires and everything.
We had 5 cameras, ma'am, and we had to literally, ma'am, we picked the 5 highest, you know, they're placed in a certain area for a certain reason, okay? Now, if the chief, he has way more experience than me at this, feels that that would be the best use of a camera, I'd be willing to take a look at it. But I can tell you, we didn't just randomly pick these locations that are chosen for a reason. Chief?
I agree with you, Mayor. We only had a certain number of areas that we could put them. We only had basically 5 areas. So we wanted to start out with the ones that we picked. We tried to pick the what we consider to be high volume areas where we needed them. From there, hopefully we'll be able to branch out and put more. That is certainly a possibility. That's something I would consider.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to recognize real quick a public official that walked in a few minutes ago. I forgot to recognize him. Councilman at Large Dan Scatali. Thank you very much, Councilman Scatali. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize a colleague of ours that's in the hospital. She's sick right now with brain injury. Councilwoman Kathy Casal is a friend of many. I know she's been councilwoman going into her 4th term. She just was the top vote getter in the last Democratic primary, and she suffered last week an injury to her brain, and she's in the hospital right now. And she's really, you know, fighting, and she's a young person, and she's going to keep fighting. But if you'll please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. I mean, she could use it, and her family could use it. She's a good person. She's a friend of a lot of people in this room right now, and I just wanted to let you know that she's hurting and she needs all the goodwill she can get. So if you please keep her in your thoughts and prayers, I know her family would appreciate it. All right, next.
Okay, Mayor. With so many cities and states having natural disasters, what emergency plan does the city of Hammond have in place, and would you please share it?
I know. I'm looking at public safety. Chief, once you start, then we'll pass off to the Deputy Chief Fire Department.
We have an all hazard and all mitigation plan. It was put together about 2 years ago, and basically it outlines all the different areas in the city that we consider to be high risk. For instance, we have Dover Chemical in the north part of the city. Of course, that would be right for a terrorist attack or something like that, and even a natural disaster there could cause problem. So we have went through there. We've done what we call risk assessment, where we go through the city and find all the different areas that could pose a real hazard to public safety. Then we do what's called risk mitigation. We make sure that they're properly secured. We make sure that we have a proper response as through training. If we do have some kind of disaster, we've done tabletop exercises in case we have a disaster. This is what we would do, so everyone's kind of on the same page. The federal government, FEMA, requires us to take a certain amount of training, especially the leaders of the police department, fire department, each and every year. So if we do have a disaster, we can coordinate with all the local officials and also other federal officials. A lot of this was learned in the wake of Katrina. Katrina, of course, not only was it a natural disaster, it was a man-made disaster because of the response and some of the things that we learned from that, we've incorporated into this. And we have what's called National Integrated Management System, and basically they teach all the public safety leaders this program. We use the same kind of concepts, we use the same communications, we're all on the same page. So if we do have a disaster, we should be able to work very well with any other agency that comes in our city, to include state and federal.
Well, we've also been working with the State Board of Health and other federal agencies to plan in the event of an emergency, say with an outbreak of a certain flu strain. We had the scare a couple of years ago. There's actually supplies that are actually stationed in Hammond in the case of an outbreak, and there's some training that's going to be offered to the fire and police department later this summer in case that those supplies ever have to be used. So in addition to what the chief said, there's ongoing work in regard to an outbreak of a mass illness or something.
Also, the multi-hazard plan is on the city's website. It is an icon on the front page that was put together a number of years ago. So if you want to look at that, just check the website out. Thanks.
There is also a hard copy and a disc at every Hammond Public Library if you'd like to look at it.
Wow. That's why I bring my staff with me, because they're all over that question. Thank you very much. I want to remind you, the city website is www.gohammond.com. GoHammond's one word. GoHammond.com. All right, it's a great website, a lot of information. And from GoHammond, you can get to GoHammond TV, right?
Yes.
So you can get to GoHammond TV from GoHammond. On GoHammond TV, if you have a computer hooked up to the internet, you can watch Mayor's Night, watch press conferences. It's all archived on there. So we've been doing our best to. We used to have Channel 16 when I first became mayor, and a lot of people watched Channel 16. And then the law was changed where cable companies no longer had to provide public access. So what we've done is, in my opinion, we made public access better by giving to you over the internet. It's free. Comcast only went to certain people in the city. The internet is available to everybody. So, and I know a lot of people don't have access to the internet, but I would encourage you, if you know somebody that does and you want to watch this, it's all there archived for you. Okay? Cookie.
You know, a couple weeks ago, we had a siren go off there when we had the storm.
Yes, ma'am.
And we didn't know what it was. Now, are they going to do this on, say, like a monthly basis?
Are you saying Saturday?
Yeah. Something like that.
Oh, when we had the robot storm. Okay.
You know, it'd be a good idea to let the people know what the siren was all about.
Good.
Because nobody knew what was happening.
First off, I want to compliment you on your shirt, Cookie. I appreciate it very much. I like that color. I just wanted to point that out. Chief Miller, about the siren?
We've had an emergency warning system in the city of Hammond for the 20 years that I've been in the police department. We test it every single Saturday at approximately noon. You'll hear it through the different locations of the city. When you hear that at a time like it's not Saturday and it's not noon and there's threatening weather, the first thing you should do is turn on your TV or turn on a radio to get up-to-date information. Basically what that tells you, when that warning signal goes off, that tells you that there is a storm or some kind of very hazardous condition that is imminent, meaning it's coming and you need to take precautions. So that's why we do sound it off when we have weather. In our radio room, we have the regular radars, and we keep very close contact with the National Weather Service. So if there is a tornado or some other kind of hazard, and that's exactly what it was. It was a tornado last time. We knew
it was from Cal City, right?
Yes, sir. It came from east to west and actually kind of bypassed our city and ended up in East Chicago and Gary, Indiana. But we followed all the way through. We sent our police officers out to the different corners of the city to watch for funnel clouds. We actually had several of them reported. We kind of marked them, documented, and reported to the National Weather Service, and we sort of followed them out of our city. But that's why the signals actually went off, was because we anticipated that. Like I said, if you hear them Saturday at noon, that's a test. Any other time, you should turn into either radio or TV to find out what's going on.
I like the way the chief said that. He said, we followed him out of town. Like, they knew that we were watching them. They just got out. You know. Anyway, questions about tornadoes, sirens? No. Like emergency system, Saturday test. Sometimes we get complaints that they're not working. It sounds like in this case, they were working, which is good news, because you want them working just in case we have bad weather. Anyway, that was supposed to be a joke. It didn't hit very well. Anyway, Donna.
Okay. Next up, I think these are parks. Charlie's here. Fishing question. Are there any stocking of Harrison Park, Carlson, Oxbow, and will Harrison be cleaned?
Okay, 2 questions. Is there any stocking of Oxbow Lake or Harrison Park Pond?
There is no stocking at either one of those sites.
In fact, we only stock Wolf Lake.
We stock Wolf Lake. That's the place that gets the stocking. We usually clean the Harrison Park up. We have cleaned it once already this summer, drained all the stuff out of people throw in, and we'll be doing it again shortly. We've just been having a tough time keeping up with the grass.
We get Harrison Park, one of the complaints I get about Harrison Park is, why isn't the fountain working? I thought that was an interesting question. Why isn't the fountain working?
I'll have to check with my guys.
Oh, no, you didn't remember? I remember the answer.
I can't answer that question right
the fountain,
now.
This is what Pat Senior tells me. I haven't checked it out myself. All right, Pat Senior's not here. He said that the turtles ate the power cord.
Well, turtles have eaten every power cord of every one we've
So I'm sure he's not.
They spend.
So what happens is these turtles in the Harrison Park pond eat the little power cord, and then you don't get the power anymore, and it doesn't work.
We've had, I think this would be our 4th one that's broken. But we've had 3 in the past, and we had all 3 of them out there at one point. Then they ate one, they ate the next one, and they ate the next one.
We gotta get them in like.
No, because we pull them out in the winter.
Metal sheet.
They don't stay.
We got a flexible type of.
We've got a flexible cord.
All right, so we answered the question, and then we have some questions coming up. We answered the question that Oxbow Lake is not being stocked by the city, nor has it ever been, neither has Harrison Park Pond.
Now, Oxbow, of course, was one time part of the Locamet River, and if you consider that for fishing, there are fish in it. There's nothing wrong with fishing there. There's lots of people that go out there and fish, and there's people in Harrison Park, but I wouldn't eat them. I guarantee you that. If you consider where you're fishing, then forget it. But there's actually fish in the at Dowling Park in that pond too, which is really a flood pond. It goes across, but I wouldn't eat those either. Now Wolf Lake's a different story. They've got a lot of walleye and stuff in there, and I think those are certainly edible. But I would stay out of those places for eating the fish in those particular areas ever. But,
you ever think about a career in tourism?
but I certainly would use Wolf Lake, and they're stocked very well. And you can have a lot of good fishing out there. Tons of people are out there fishing every day. So one of my employees catches tons of fish out there.
In which lake?
Jimmy Sadik is a big fisherman
Out of which one? That looks like
Wolf Lake.
No kidding.
Yeah. Catches
Well, you see people out there a lot.
He's a big fisherman, and so they're good fish out there. But the other ones are not exactly what you call edible fish. I mean, you'd eat them, but I'd be afraid. If they are, make them young. Is all I can tell you. If they've been hanging around a while, I wouldn't want to do that.
All right, thank you, Charlie. Big round of applause, Charlie Lane, everybody. Yeah. I wanted to add, we have a couple follow-up questions also.
Okay. Just to give you an update on Harrison Park, to let you know that through our department, Department of Planning and Development, we will be repainting the Iron Man, making improvements to the tennis court, as well as fixing the water fountain.
Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, questions. Sounds like park questions.
I drove through Dowling Park last night. It is a nightmare over there.
How so?
You can't even get near it to fish. The weeds are like as high as tall as I am. And all along
Dowling Park weeds around the
along the expressway wall, the weeds are like 5-6 foot tall.
Now, technically, that
is a
state
mess
right away,
over
right?
there.
Technically, I mean. Okay.
Oh, all along the lake though, you can't even get near it to fish. You can't even get out of your car. It's a nightmare. And when you cross that little bridge, there's like this much room on that little wood bridge.
Did you fill out a complaint for them, or is this just
No, I'm following up that.
Well, we've been asked not to cut it too close to the lake to keep the birds and stuff in there. That's why that's not cut around the lake so much. Across the street is state, but we usually go down there.
Charlie, do me a favor. We need to have somebody go out there and take a look at it, obviously.
Oh, I know. I've been out there. In fact, we just were cutting out that way, and I'll have a guy go down and hit the weeds on the other side. Even
what do you do on the ditches like that? Like along Klein Avenue, I imagine too. I mean, even though technically it's not our ditch, it's our city.
We cut it a couple times a year just because it gets so long, and the state never does any of that.
And we have this problem not just along the ditch lines. We had this problem with the medians last year. It was horrible, and it was the state median, and the grass was 3.5 feet tall. And finally, we complained enough that they did it. I believe. I think Chris, our city attorney, sent them 3 or 4 letters complaining, showing them pictures, and it's just, we usually end up taking care of it because we're out here talking to you, and people don't understand, you know.
State of Indiana cuts the expressway overpasses
twice a year or something like that.
Well, they said they cut them 4 times last year, and they're going to cut them 5 times this year, but they get to the point where it's an embarrassment to the mayor and everybody that works here because they don't touch them.
And then what happens is we come to mayor's night, and people don't understand it. That's state right away. So it just makes us look bad. You know, they're like, you know, I was driving down Kennedy and I can't even see the other traffic. And it's true. You look through the median and the grass is 3.5 feet tall, and they just think the mayor is not doing his job. You guys never listen to us, and we're firing off letters to the state, and they're basically pitching them in the garbage. So what we end up doing is we end up cutting it just so we could, even though that's not our responsibility. Yep. So in Dowling, along 8094, that's not our responsibility, but we're going to do it anyway because we don't want to have to live with that, neither do you.
I'll get somebody out there tomorrow or Friday and get that taken care of for you,
Okay.
for sure.
And you're a repeat customer, you come to all the mayor's nights, so I'm sure if it doesn't happen, you'll be here next month too, right? That's what I love about mayor's night. You know where we're going to be. I think she has a follow-up. 2 months.
We have fish. My neighbors are in their 80s, and one of them's 86. They love to go out there and fish. I can't even get them close enough to the lake to fish. And last
Do they eat the fish?
hell,
All right.
they just catch them little ones, and they get so excited. They catch them. Not me, but I mean, I take them out.
Okay.
But you can't even get close to the lake to fish. They can't even get across that little wood thing now. It's a mess up.
Okay. We're going to follow
All
I'll cut
around
an
that
area
lake.
so you can get up there to fish, but there is an area that they tell me I shouldn't be cutting because it gives the wildlife a place to be and they don't get bothered. But I will definitely cut an area.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor's night, this is the good thing about Mayor's night. This is total accountability right here. If we're not doing our job, you bring it to Mayor's night, and believe me, I imagine next month when we come back, well, actually, next month's not Mayor's night, but I guarantee you Charlie takes care of this because he knows that, you know, this came up at Mayor's night. So, yeah, Donna.
Well, first of all, Linda Larson is your representative for the area, and she is in town this evening at the other meeting for Crime Watch. She is the representative that you need to speak to if you Russ, and she could get it downstate. The other question I wanted to ask was that is there not a requirement when there is a retaining pond or a pond that it be stocked with a certain type of fish to help with the algae? Charlie?
Not that I know of, very honestly, and you know that water does flow into, goes back and forth between Oxbow, so to my knowledge, there's nothing, the DNR's never said anything to us about it, ever. It's the first I've ever heard about that. In fact, I don't know that there's any rule about stocking anywhere.
I know for a fact that we looked at stocking the Gene Shepherd Community Lagoon, and because that was a stagnant pond and there was some extremely large catfish and things of that nature in there, the smaller fish could not survive, and the DNR would not approve it.
Okay. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the park over there.
Which park?
The one right across the street, right
Okay,
here.
okay.
The one that's right across the street.
Right.
I want to know how soon how fast and how soon are y'all going to get to the sliding board that's over there? That's it got a big old hole in it.
Oh, really? The skateboard
Yeah.
ramp?
Huh?
The skateboard ramp?
No, it's the one that's right across the street, right in front of this building right here.
Slide free.
The slide. Where the slides and stuff at?
Oh.
Somewhere right here.
Right here. Right in the back. Yeah, it's a great big old hole right there. And there's be a whole lot of kids over there, you know, playing on it.
Okay, I can address that for you, miss. Right now, we're doing Columbia Park. They got new equipment. We're going to Irving, and then we're coming to Peoples to address that with new equipment.
But I'll get it taken care of because I won't have them getting hurt on a slide. I'll remove that or do something until.
So right across the street, definitely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I do the summer rec program over there, having park to park. 350 kids over there for a day. For free lunch, free breakfast, game, and activities.
Which park are we talking about?
Right across the street, they do the park.
Yeah, People's Park.
I walk them to the library every Wednesday for free books. She's one of the volunteers to come over there and help us out doing, with the other kids. Now we have, like I said, 350 birds. She come over and look at the slide, but I had already talked to Councilman Selena about the slide, so he told me it's a matter of time he will get it fixed for her.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions about the park department?
Okay, another one for Charlie, but I can take care of this. Someone's asking about transportation to the Winter Outdoor Show. I'll hook up with Cookie and make sure we get you a bus here to bring people down to the show.
Could you do the same thing for the Festival of the Lakes?
I've already talked to Frank Moran. We are going to have shuttle buses. We can include this route in our shuttle.
I tell you, it makes tons of sense. There's a couple shows I think people would be interested in here. I tell you, first off, the Whisperers, I think that's a good night. The first night, and also Sunday 24th, the Polka Party is jam-packed all the time. So I think there's at least 2 shows that a lot of people in here would be interested in. Of course, if you want to see Salt and Pepper, 38 Special, or Pat Benatar, I'm not going to hold you back, okay? But I'm just stereotyping sort of what shows I think people may be interested in. After the show, after Mayor's Night. If you like reggae, come see me after Mayor's Night. Okay?
I like reggae.
That's good.
I like it.
All right, good. Sir, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask, the old Optimus Park, is there fishing allowed in that lake there?
I saw people fishing there a week ago. I don't know if it's legal or not, but I saw people fishing in there. They were sort of hiding though, so maybe it's not legal. They weren't like out in the open. Yeah.
What's going to be done with the Kennedy Park Apartment, the old site there?
Great question. Okay, I know Rick has to say something about Optimus Lake. Rick?
Fishing. I know a well-kept secret, good place for panfish, bass, is Lost Marsh Golf Course. It's in George Lake. They got a fishing pier, and a parking place, and you just walk underneath.
Yeah, you know, and that is, you're right. This is one of the hidden secrets. You go from New York Avenue, you go through Calumet College, down to 125th. But you're coming from New York Avenue, around Cal College, you go to 125th, and you park your car. You can go basically into the golf course, but you can't get to the golf course. You're separated from it, and it's beautiful. It's a pier. Great point, Rick. Tons of people fish off that pier, and they're safely away from errant golf shots, even when I'm golfing, okay? It's a very safe area, and it's really actually beautiful, so great point. Plug in the Port Authority, I like it. Okay, we just had a question about Kennedy Park Apartments. Phil Talon, all right. Phil Talon, there you are.
Yes, are you talking about in regards to the park, or just
No.
property?
He wants River Park Apartments. What's going on over there was the question.
Because part of the River Park apartment site is obviously it's adjacent to Oxbow Park right there, or Oxbow Lake. And we are doing some improvements, and this was the mayor's vision. There's actually going to be a walking path that's going to go connect to the Oxbow Trail and come through the River Park apartment site, which we're soon going to be calling Oxbow Landing. What's going on with that property right now? If you drove over there, you will see that a road is being constructed. We did have a stoppage because of the strike, but now that it's resolved, I got an email today saying that they are going to resume. That road should be finished, I believe, within about a month. We have a hotel developer who is he has 5 acres under contract. He's going to construct 2 hotels, a Hampton Inn and a Holiday Inn Express. And we are in discussions with a couple other developers, keeping our fingers crossed. We have potentially some really real nice attraction that could come to that site. But we're kind of early on in the negotiations, and so I can't really comment on it. But that entire site, obviously, people know the history, apartment buildings, high crime rate. I believe the police were there on a regular basis. Knocked down the apartments. We took over the property. We used federal dollars to construct this road through the property. So we used empowerment zone dollars as well as stimulus dollars. And now, because of the road and because the apartments are gone, we're getting a lot of interest from people that are we're talking about restaurants, office space, hotel development, and other things of that nature. So in the end, depending on how bad the strike affected the road construction project, we're either going to have hotel construction start at the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Okay. Thanks, Phil. Questions about River Park Apartments? Great, thank you, sir. Did I answer your question? Yes, sir. Awesome, thank you. Donna?
Okay, Mayor. Question regarding the program about reimbursements for organized sports programs through planning and development?
Right.
What was the question, sir?
Well, Mayor, it's about, we were told that, well, everybody got the impression that when they turn the voucher in, they'd be getting their money back when they turn the voucher in. But from what I'm getting is that the money won't be ready until August.
Okay.
And they need the uniforms coming up this week.
Okay.
So those people were using that money to help pay for the uniforms.
Okay, Awana jumps in. Awana is the head of the CDBC program, Community Development Block Grant, which is a program from the federal government that's given to cities for use with poor relief, all right? So the only people that qualify for this type of relief would have to meet certain income guidelines, all right? So, you know, and obviously we earmarked a portion of this money for youth sports, meaning if there's a child from a family that can't afford the $140 to put them in Optimus Little League or whatever the charge is now, that they would be covered through this block grant program, which is a good thing. It gives the kids something to do. You shouldn't be penalized just because your parents can't afford that fee. So we have to do our homework also. We can't just say, you come in and say, hey Ken, how many kids this year? Okay, 2, here's your check. Because we have to make sure we're doing our homework also. So I wanted to precede Awana, who's in charge of this program. Awana?
Sir, once the applicants come to our office and turns in all the documents that are required by HUD, the homeowner does receive a voucher. The voucher is then turned into whatever organized sport that that parent wants that child to be in. In turn, after the voucher is presented, an invoice has to come to our department. Our department has to answer to the Hammond Redevelopment Commission as well as the City Council. So it actually has to go before 2 boards before a check is written to that organization. The Hammond Redevelopment Commission meets on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of every month. So depending on when that homeowner comes in and when we receive a voucher, that's when the process can start. The City Council meets the 2nd and 4th Mondays of every month. So it's actually a long process, and unfortunately, our program is a reimbursement program. We don't go through the process of just issuing out checks. We do have to go through 2 different boards in order to present a check.
Do you have, you know, sometimes we have flexibility in cases like this. I know in the city, redevelopment in the city have separate bank accounts in this case. In the city, we have once it goes through the City Council, usually you have to wait 2 months before you get the check, but sometimes we speed that up. Maybe there's some flexibility once it's approved in boards that we can get them a check very quickly if it's possible, because I think what Butch is trying to say is the leagues are relying on this money and it's slow getting to them.
Yeah, that's what it is. Their uniforms are ready, but they've got some of the money, but they don't have all.
But the thing, I think the one thing you guys got to keep in mind is if you can satisfy that cash flow shortage, you will get the money because it's federal money.
Yeah, you know, we understand that, but we're working with Maine Sporting Goods. I'm hoping they will.
Right.
I'll talk to them and see about if they can. The rest of it, they'll tell them what it's about.
Okay.
Because we've already got the letters from the parent from the city for some of the kids already.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know how to do it about the vouchers.
Okay.
So we have to get that from our
Is this the first year we've done it or second year? Second year. So we're still, I mean, just the fact that we've earmarked that money for these programs was sort of a new concept that we started 2 years ago. I think it's a good idea. Maybe we need to figure out how to speed it up on our end too, okay, Butch?
That's all we're trying to find out
Okay.
about that way.
I think that, you know, let us take a look at maybe there's a thing we could do. Phil, you listen? Maybe there's a way we can speed this up somehow. So, that, I mean, because the leagues are operating on a thin budget, I do know that, so.
We appreciate it, really.
Okay, thank you, Butch, I appreciate it. Oh, sorry. Hi.
This is not a question. I just wanna, sometimes we don't compliment our workers, but Awana Miller do a great job, and I remember when we had all the snow, she was there and she was answering the phones and people needs, and I thought that was great, and she does a great job.
Thank you, Amana. I love the fact that you brought up the blizzard, because this I'm going to tell you a little story. It's funny, okay? When the blizzard hit, we all knew the blizzard was coming. It came on like a Tuesday, right? Was it Tuesday? And we knew it was coming. Basically, when we got to work Monday, everybody's like, here comes the blizzard, let's get ready. And then the blizzard on Tuesday, and then as the mayor, funny thing starts happening. Everybody starts coming up to you saying, hey, are we off tomorrow? And I'm like, we're the city. You know, this isn't, you know, elementary school when we get a snow day. It's like, when it snows, we should all be at work. I think that's when we should be at work, is when it's snowing, right? So there was like a philosophy thing that we were sort of feeling our way through in the city. And in the heart of the blizzard, the people around this table were at work. Even if we had to shovel our way in, we were all at work. And I hate to say it was forced. I mean, including Tawana, but it was sort of forced. But she does a great job. I mean, I'm not minimizing what she does. But the thing is, I think that's what we're supposed to be at work. In the heart of the storm, we were answering phones and we were doing what we could. And it was tough. It was tough to get everybody there, but all through that storm, City of Hammond was manned. Mayor's office was manned. And thank you. I was proud of that, because that was a big storm. And I would love to have snow days for us also, but I think the snow days are for the kids. That's when we work, so.
Mayor, I was saving the best for last, but you do have a written statement here. I would like to thank the mayor for the outstanding job during last winter's snowstorm. Job well done.
Thank you. Who wrote that? I think, was that you? Thank you. I love it. You're getting million tickets if you want them.
I just want to say I went through other cities and the roads were totally impassable. But you, every year, it seemed like you're on top of your job, all of your staff, and I just like to commend you for it.
All right, where's the street department tonight? Al's representing this. Oh, what's chief? Second district and street department. Very good, Al. By the way, I want to tell you another thing we did during that storm, because we had all of our public works employees were pushing snow. You know, Johnny in the sanitation department, we said, Johnny, you know, it's important for you guys to do your routes, but when it was snowing, Johnny was out there. Police department was out there. Recycling department was out there. Park department was out there. I was even out there, but I wasn't pushing snow. But I was driving in other communities, and that's important too, because you know this gentleman just said I saw other communities and Hammond looked good. I was looking at other communities too, and I knew that if we looked worse in other communities, Mayor's Night Out would come and it would be brought out. So we worked really well as a team during that, and I can tell you, the storm hit us on Tuesday, and our guys didn't rest for basically 2 days. They didn't stop, and it was definitely an experience. So thank you for bringing that up. It's nice of you. Question?
Okay, Mayor. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with the handwriting. Train horns, can we compromise? No late night, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay. The thing about the Renaissance is, I've been coming here ever since I got elected. I've come here, I dare say, twice a year. Every year since I've been elected. This is the first time we've had Mayor's Night here, so it'll be 3 or 4 times this year. So I'm no stranger to this room. I'm no stranger to the people in this room. And I told Stan when we walked in, I said, Stan, we're going to get the questions, so be ready for it, okay? Right? I've heard this every single time I come here. We talk about this, and it's frustrating. The issue is this. The railroad tracks just to the north, just to the south of our building here, the trains go by and they lay on their horn for like 2 minutes straight. And everybody that lives here, it's 2 in the morning and you get the rude wake-up call. And it's 2 in the afternoon and you're getting a rude wake-up call. And it's 5 o'clock at night, it's 7 o'clock at night. It's a major problem. Now, I've been talking to my engineer about this, and I know that one of the reasons they do it, well, first off, I'm just going to pass off. Stan Destotny is city engineer, going on 4 decades. Stan's like, thanks, Mayor. He's a great city engineer. He's been a city engineer for a long time. He helps us out tremendously. And I brought up this issue to Stan, and Stan, why don't you go ahead and take off from here?
Yeah, you can have a. Is this on?
Engineer.
Yeah. You can ask the railroad for a horn ban where they don't blow the horns. They're going to come back to us. They're going to say close Soul Avenue is the first comment that they're going to say. We don't want to do that. There's a lot of people that need to walk through there. There's a lot of situations when there's ice on the bridge, a short period of time that you have to use that. So then they're going to come back and say, well, you need to put in safety devices so that no one could cross when the gates are down. So that means we're going to have gates that have to be totally closed, not only for the cars, but also for the pedestrians, and some type of fence. We'll take a look. Since the mayor asked me, I'm going to look into what this would cost, what the steps are, and see how feasible that it is.
It's sort of something like what they did, I know in Whiting by the football field.
Whiting's trying to do it. Whiting still hasn't accomplished it.
But that's a way bigger rail crossing than ours, though.
Yeah, they have 2 separate crossings.
It's a major crossing.
And there's 3 separate railroads at each of those crossings. And I think they were estimating that it costing like $2.5 million to put the protection devices in Just to have the horns not blow.
So he's saying, basically, if we came down from both sides, on both sides of the track, and made it so it was virtually impossible, even if you wanted to go around the railroad tracks, it'd be impossible because it's blocked from both sides. If we did that, first off, let's make no bones about it. This is not a cheap thing. This is going to cost some money, okay? If we do that, you know, and if things work out with the rail lines, then they can stop blowing our horns. But I imagine...
Because all the other streets have grade separations.
Right,
They got a whole
meaning
way-
they go over the top of the tracks.
Yeah, because of the grade separations, they don't have to blow the horn there. They are only blowing it because of the Soul Avenue.
Okay, railroads, whistle band, yes ma'am.
I happened to talk to one of the guys that deals with that. He says the reason why they start is the railroad is supposed to do 10 cars up until where the gates stop. It's after the gates stop, then they're supposed to get off the horn. So, but they don't. They'll keep all the way down there, all the way underneath the track. Now I know from home and all the way down. You know, that's senseless.
Right, I agree.
You know, it's not rocket science.
No, I know what you mean.
So maybe, you know, maybe if we have one of those little cameras, you wanna lay on it, find them for it.
Okay, this is good. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, and before we get to the next question, we'll come right to you, okay, man? The question, no, I want to respond to that. Because that's we get a lot of railroad complaints. I want you to know, dealing with railroads is like dealing with the federal government. It is dealing with the federal government. These guys are bigger than the city of Hammond. They deal with mayors all across the city, and as much as you may like me, they don't care about Mayor McDermott. They're like, Mayor McDermott, Mayor McShmurmott. We deal with mayors up and down our rail line. You don't scare me, Mayor. So I was like, okay, you rail line, I'm gonna give you a ticket every time you block an intersection, all right? So we do, we give you a ticket. We have our police officers out there, all right, we'll write you a ticket. Chief Miller, when I took over, how many open tickets were there pending against the rail lines?
We had thousands, Mayor. The fines would go probably up to $100,000 if they were fully assessed.
Now the problem is, so we did our job. We got our officers doing it, and the officers, thousands of tickets, which is thousands of hours of manpower of the police department, right? We don't prosecute those cases. They go to the county, which means, and I'm not throwing Bernie under the bus, he's the county prosecutor, he bundles these thousands of cases together and settles with the rail line for, I wish we got pennies.
We received $1,800.
$1,800. So now I go back to a police officer that's wasted thousands of hours and said, police officer, great job, you get us $1,800. How many hours did you have to wait at those rail lines? How many hours were we sitting there idle in our car, clogging up the atmosphere with all the carbon gases? How many hours did the police department waste, all for a lousy pennies on the dollar? That's very, very frustrating. So I don't want you guys to think that dealing with rail lines is easy. And they don't care that I'm the mayor. They don't even care about Congressman Beat. There's 435 of them. You got to be like a senator to deal with these people, or the big guy. Okay, so like you have to understand this is a big issue, and it's bigger than being the mayor, unfortunately. Now, this young lady had a question right here.
Actually, it's not a question, but concerning the trains, I was here at the Soul Street crossing right here, and I thought the purpose of the blowing the horn was to let the traffic that was going across, or pedestrians, where the gate went down. But I was actually standing there coming from the library. This train did not start blowing the horn until after it had crossed the crossing. So I was like, what was the point of you blowing the horn if you're already across the,
Right.
the intersection? So that was just...
And we just had a fatality at a crossing 2 years ago now?
That's about 3 years ago.
3 years? Where the lady, and that was caught on tape, was by the South Shore station. She had 2 kids in the car, I believe?
She had 3 children.
And they all died?
2 of the children died.
Yeah, she died also. And that one was caught on tape. And she was going fast. She was racing a train. Yeah, she was racing a train down the track, and she started pulling away. She saw the gates down, and she shot around. There was a train coming full speed from the other direction. She pulled right in front of it. So, this doesn't help us either. The fact that people still go around those gates is part of the reason they have to lay on the horn like they do. But I think that the best option we could take is to do a feasibility on the cost of properly protecting that intersection, because as Stan indicated, we can't shut down Soul, because when it's snowing, that's the route our engines use to get around, because that bridge is too big to get over when it's icy. So we need Soul open, but maybe if we properly gate this thing, we could lay off the horns, okay? All right, Donna, where are you? I got more questions than, yes, sir.
Yeah, I look out of my living room window, which faces the south, and I can see that said crossing. And I actually see people going around that gate all the time.
Yes, sir.
I know the horn blowing is annoying. You know, this is true, but I would rather sometimes be annoyed by this horn blow than see children and people die just for being, you know, trying to be in a hurry.
Save a couple seconds.
It's nothing that important in life to rush around a train
Great
track.
point. Thank you, sir.
So I would rather.
You know what, though? I totally agree, and I think it's very well said what you said. However, if we could get this done and make it safer for a reasonable amount of money, maybe that's the right answer. So that nobody can get around, even if they wanted to, and you guys will get a good night's sleep here. Because that's what's important. Donna, behind you, yes.
Isn't there a limited time that they can block a crossing?
What's the law say, Chief?
It's 15 minutes,
15
but
minutes.
they can file for exceptions. For instance, if the train is broke down, if there's an obstruction on the track, our dispatchers will call them and find out what the problem is. And most of the time, it's a maintenance problem, and during those times, we can't cite them.
And Cookie,
They have a
this
variation.
is what I was talking about earlier too. So even if they do stop, let's say we had a situation in Hessville, you know, right off of, I think it's Arizona, the little Subway shop. Guy was blocking the intersections and got out and got a Subway sandwich. and so, okay, buddy, we're giving you a ticket. You know, here's your ticket. And then we get pennies on the dollar.
The point here is, you're sitting there and switching now. They sit there for at least 30 minutes. Every night. This goes on all the time. You call the police department, I know, they're stuck doing a lot of other, but something's gotta be done about them switching.
Okay, thank you. Questions about rail lines? Got a question? Whoever.
About going across the track and the railroad lines. Most of us wheelchairs going across there is very, very dangerous because of all the dips and things. Would it be feasible to have them put a grate across it so that it would be not life-threatening? I've come across 3 different times strailing the third rail, and it's no fun.
Gotcha. I think, in my opinion, we need like a comprehensive sidewalk program in this general vicinity to get you from here to downtown and around. So I think that's been point taken from this meeting so far. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, I just want to say, what's the reason for them blowing a horn at 3 o'clock in the morning? Every morning they blow the horn at 3 o'clock.
It's
They wait till
required.
3 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody outside.
But ma'am-
I don't think it's nobody outside.
But ma'am, they can't.
I mean, they do it
But they have, it's required by law.
Yeah, but I mean, they lay on a horn.
It's like at nighttime, there's no other cars on the road. That doesn't mean you can drive 100 miles an hour, right? It's still law. It's still the law.
3 o'clock in the morning.
I know, ma'am, but
Look out the window, you don't see nothing.
it's not a Hammond law that's requiring this. It's a federal law that's requiring this. It's not our law. It's not. Actually, it's state law. That's what. In the back.
I just have a quick question. If you as mayor decide to put the new railings up, where would the funds come from?
We would have to allocate that out of our. We have money for capital projects in each district. We would have to allocate it out of that funding. So instead of getting another street done or some other project in the second, part of that money would be allocated to that project. Okay? I mean, we have a set amount of money each year to get projects like this done, ma'am. It doesn't raise your taxes. What it does is we have a set fund, and let's say we had to spend $1 million to make that intersection safe. That'd be $1 million less that Councilman Salinas could spend on road projects in the second district. Okay? Thank you for the question. Over here? Okay, right here.
I've noticed that when the trains are stopped, that people actually take their bikes
and you go in between the cars.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yes, sir. We see kids do that over by Scott Middle School. It's the train stops and it's literally a block away from the middle school over in Hessville, and unfortunately we had the same type of situation there. It's horribly dangerous. Back over here.
Yeah, hi. I live on Logan Street, and regarding the horn blowing at 1 a.m. or after midnight, there's no intersection there, like under the bridge where Logan Street is. It's right over here. I think there's a railroad yard there. They like to play at all hours, and I mean, I think it's ridiculous that they make all that noise after 12. Can something be done?
I think the federal law requires them to blow the horn inside the rail yard because they've got train switching, they have people walking around inside the yard, and it is a 24-hour operation. So I think we're kind of stuck with that.
And if anything, that part of the city is being eyed right now. This is a good thing, but a big expansion of the rail through the center of our city, which will result in a lot of jobs, a lot of investment, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I can only imagine that these types of things, I didn't say get worse, but this is something we need to start getting on top of. So,
Like the possibility of a sound barrier or something.
That's a good point. I imagine, that's actually a pretty good option. Major bucks?
Very expensive.
Yeah.
And it becomes a maintenance headache too, just like you've seen along the Borman, all the problems,
But if a train hit it, we'd have bigger problems in the sound wall, right?
Yeah.
Trains don't fly off the tracks very often, so.
But you have roads and stuff that parallel that. You can have a car, you can have an errant vehicle go through the wall. They've actually had wind damage on some of the walls up on the Borman.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's a great point, sir.
Isn't there a sound barrier right here in this new subdivision right here? It's like a little over here by the Knights of Columbus.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Are there problems there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's a berm over there. There's an earthen berm, and I think it lessens the sound to a certain extent, but it's not really high enough to be fully effective. It's better than nothing.
We'll take a look at it, sir. I think it's a great recommendation. Literally, this investment that I'm talking about, it's a big investment, and like I said, the amount of rail traffic will probably, through that part of the city, will get heavier. So, this is something we should probably take a look at. Thank you. I think I'm about to sneeze, so if I do, excuse me in advance. Sorry. It's that time of year. Right here.
I was just gonna see if the city could talk to them about more uniform signaling, where you get late at night, you get maybe short bursts instead of the long laying on the horn, which rattles my teeth and now dishes and everything in the house. Maybe a uniform horn signaling, after 12 at least, or I don't think it's necessary to just lay on the horn.
Tell you, I'm going to sit down with the railroads and we're going to talk to them and see what we can do about this. Getting them to even come to City Hall is a major ordeal. I will make the attempt to see if we can pull them in, talk about a comprehensive strategy for this part of the city with the rail. Okay? I will. I know. Good luck, but I promise you I'll try. I will follow this up.
We actually have a meeting with them tomorrow about the other project.
Oh, what's the project?
Indiana Harbor Belt.
This is Indiana
Phil?
Harbor Belt.
Yeah, we have a meeting with them tomorrow, and I was going to say that.
Would have been appropriate. I can get my butt cheeks here. I was going to say it, but I like watching the squirm there.
The reason I'm kind of cautious about bringing that up is because we can obviously bring it up to them, but I think maybe the best thing to do is set up a meeting at City Hall where we're specifically discussing these type of issues. So if I bring it up tomorrow, I could ask them about certain regulations and when do you have, how long does the horn have to, how long do you have to blow the horn and when, through what tracks, and because it sounds like there's a lot of miscellaneous things going on.
Well, it's definitely bad to this part of the city. Definitely bad. So sitting down with these guys and just putting it on their radar, Phil.
Right.
That we need a meeting with them to talk. Obviously, we're talking about a lot of particulars with the economic development deal. But in addition, if we can get them to sit down and talk about these other issues,
Our meeting mayor's with IHB, and I have a feeling a lot of these problems are CSX and Norfolk Southern and a lot of different rail lines. But we will start the conversation tomorrow, and I'm sure.
I like the way Cookie thinks, though. She said, "Get the CEO's address, and we'll all drive over there and honk our horns." Just like, hey!
When we get there tomorrow, Mayor, we will hit the horns for a good 5 minutes before we go into the
That would
building.
be quite an entrance.
Yes.
All right, so if we're not making progress, I think we got Plan B. Cookie, we'll be calling you. So, okay, Donna. Oh, we have. You have a question, sir?
Why can't they put sound barriers? Why can't they put sound barriers in the residential areas where the trains go?
That gentleman brought up that issue, and that's a great issue. I think we're going to look at, sir. It's
because you live on the 8 over and up. It sounds like they're coming right through the house.
okay. Thank you, Donna.
We good on trains, Mayor? Next topic.
Okay.
Bus service. 2 questions, they're exactly the same. What's going to happen to the bus services after this year in Hammond?
Bobby, you're there, right?
No, nobody.
Okay. Grab the microphone. Bobby's my appointee to the Regional Bus Authority. Guys, I can tell you right now that regarding the bus situation, they attempted to get a bill passed in the General Assembly last year to fund it. There's no funding for the buses right now, okay? Hammond, when we gave our buses to the Regional Bus Authority, the Regional Bus Authority got $2 million?
1.8 there.
$1.8 million from the city of Hammond to run buses. They said in between, they're going to go for a permanent source of funding from the General Assembly. They attempted to do that. You can't run buses without money. Hammond doesn't own a single bus anymore. Everything we had with the RBA went to the RBA. The RBA has attempted to get funding for buses, and they're not getting the time of day. As the status stands right now, at the end of the year, they're literally operating on fumes, to use a bus analogy. They're running out of gas quickly. I imagine, and I haven't looked at the books, I imagine they could probably get through 6 months of 2012.
That's correct.
Is that good, Bob?
That's correct.
But at that point, guys, if there's no permanent source of funding that's approved by the General Assembly next year, the buses will stop. There won't be any source of funding for the buses. Guys, this is not a joke. This is a problem that needs to be fixed. And we're trying to maintain decorum here, okay? So, Bobby, did I miss anything?
No, I don't believe so, Mayor.
Okay,
Actually, there's contracts that the RBA has with the company that actually runs the buses, which is called First Transit. And those contracts go through to June 30th of 2012. Now, in order to have enough funding to make it through to June 2012, the RBA is going to have to reduce services a little bit. So what they're looking at doing is reducing the number of trips in the mornings and the evenings. Instead of it running every half hour, they're going to make it run every hour. Okay? And then there's going to be one route that they eliminate, and that's the route to the government center. So it's a contentious issue. There's a lot of things that you guys need and we need to get to the government center to do. And for a lot of people, the bus is the only way to get there. And that's the route that they're looking to eliminate. There's actually going to be a public hearing. Brian, when is that? It's at the Hammond Public Library.
6.
Oh, I forgot. Brian, you're in there too. I apologize. I want you guys to know something. We're the good guys in this fight. We've always supported busing. I'm a vocal supporter of busing. I go to the General Assembly and talk about, I had a plan that got derailed because of other issues. I had a plan that would have saved the buses. Maybe that plan will be resurrected next year, maybe it won't be. But what happened this year is another issue regarding the Little Cow sort of took priority over the buses, and the buses got bounced. The fact is, guys, this can't happen from the city of Hammond. It's out of our hands. At the county level, they could do something about it. I don't think it's going to happen there, so that leaves the state. I'm telling you, if it doesn't happen at the county level, which it's not even on the radar, and it doesn't happen at the state next year's General Assembly, don't be shocked. They're going to shut the buses down. I'm telling you guys, and we're out there doing everything we can to try to support it. This city of Hammond. This is bigger than us, guys. So, done. Unfortunately, people don't care outside of Hammond. We see it. I see the people who use it. You know what I hear? I turn on a local radio station. I hear them on the local radio station say, "There's nobody using those buses." I drove by a bus as a DJ was saying that, and I look on the bus and I see a lady with 2 kids. And I'm thinking to myself, even if those are the only 3 people on the bus, what would these 3 people do without the buses? They would be stranded. But nobody cares. That's the problem. I mean, outside of if you have a car and you live in South Lake County, they don't support it. If I went down to Crown Point and said, "Hey, would you guys help support a bus tax?" They would say, "No, we don't want to support it. We will not support it." There's legislators from South Lake County that don't support it. We're in trouble on this issue. This is a major issue, and it needs to get put on people's radar. City of Hammond, it's bigger than this. It has to be a regional solution. So.
There is a taxi service, AAA, that handles a lot of people in these buildings and these areas through RBA. If we lose our bus service, are we going to lose that as well?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
If it's funded through the RBA, you're losing it.
Yes, you are. One of the funding sources for the RBA is federal funds. And in order to use those federal funds, the RBA has to provide that service. It's called Complimentary Paratransit, and they use AAA to do that. So yes, the reason why AAA is funded by the RBA is because they're mandated to do so, because the RBA gets federal funds. If the RBA disappears, so do those federal funds, and so does the Complimentary Paratransit. The 6th of July.
This is a real issue, guys. This is something that's unfortunately been overlooked, and you have to realize that unfortunately the majority of voters have cars, unfortunately. And what happens is the bigger group sort of hummels the smaller group. And in this case, the minority opinion is keep the buses running. I've been consistent as your mayor, how important this issue is, and I always will be. But you have to understand it's a hostile environment when you're talking about buses. It's a hostile environment. So, Donna, is that a question or?
Yeah, I have a question. It's about 3 months, but back in February, I had pneumonia and I had called the ambulance and the fire department. They took me to the hospital, and but when they let me out the hospital. So when I got out the hospital, they didn't even have transportation for me to get home. And it was sleeting, hailing, and snowing outside, and I had to walk through that just to get home. Why don't they have transportation to get people home? I called AAA, and they said they don't have the Medicaid at night.
Well, I mean, whose job is it to get you home?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even if the buses were running, they wouldn't have been running then.
No, I'm talking. I
got you.
I came by ambulance. Right.
I agree. No, I mean, this is a problem, man. It is.
Yeah. So I had to be rushed back to the hospital, and when I did, I had them to take me to Jackson Park in Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
What about collaboration with the PACE people over in Illinois? Could the 2 states collaborate to find
I can tell you, sir,
transportation?
just knowing what's going on in Illinois right now, I can tell you, seriously, this isn't a regional issue. This is an issue in Indiana. This is an issue everywhere. Public transportation is a money loser. We lose money running those buses. Okay? Now, a lot of people choose to look at government functions like that and say, if you don't make a profit, get out of the business, right? So, like, the thing is, could we, all right, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry, I'm competing here. Yeah. Good, Donna? I lost my train of thought.
New topic?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll keep going, I just forgot.
Were there any more?
Fighting for the microphone here. Yes, ma'am.
If by some miracle of God we're able to keep some kind of service, how about sitting down with whoever's in charge of this and talking some real sense to these people, just like they're cutting the service down now? I mean, you know what? We could go down to several buses a day if we have to.
Let me ask you a question first. Who do you think's in charge of this issue?
The RBA.
Okay, not really. They're designated to provide the service.
Right.
How do they get their money? That's who's in charge of that money. Thank you. The state government, who's being run by, God bless them, whether you love them or hate them, Republican Governor Mitch Daniels, a Senate that's Republican controlled, 3-1. 3-1. And the General Assembly, the House of Representatives, it's 60-40 Republicans. These Republicans, and I'm a Democrat, and I make no bones about it. This party looks at government functions differently. They don't really necessarily protect the poor. They look at it differently. And you have to understand.
How about using some of that casino money?
For what? Which part of transportation? Hammond only? Or do we provide for Gary and we provide for Chicago?
I understand what you're saying there.
That's the thing. I mean, right now it's a regional bus. But I want to tell you the history of this. When I took over, hold on. When I took over, it was the Hammond Transit. Hammond Transit went in Hammond only, outside of a couple stops. We went over in Illinois with Pace. We went to Munster and dropped us off at Target, okay? But it was the Hammond Transit System. They changed the law. When they created the RBA, they created the RDA and the RBA. And in the RBA, they said, this is what we want you to do, Mayor. We want you to regionalize your buses. So that we take off the boundaries and you can go outside of Hammond with the buses. So what did I do? I regionalized our buses. I said, RBA, take our buses. Here's $1.8 million. Run it. And they've been doing a good job. They have. The problem is this. They created the RBA, the General Assembly, and gave us no money. So they're running out. Okay. And the thing is, now, what am I supposed to do? Give them Hammond money so that they can run their RBA? You know, like, these are, I have no buses anymore. That's the catch to this. We gave everything up. All right. Donna.
Okay, if the bus stop running over here, the Hammond buses, then will the Illinois Pace buses still be able to come into your terminal?
Well, no, I mean, they could, I have no problem with them. That's not our terminal. We gave the terminal to RBA.
I know, but they come in here, so I'm saying that if y'all
that's
shut
not
down,
my decision. That's the RBA's terminal.
could they still come in here?
I imagine that I wouldn't block them, but you have to understand, we don't belong in the bus business anymore. City of Hammond gave it to, like we were told to the RBA. They are the bosses of the buses now.
Well, I know the Pace bus comes over here to go to UPS.
But because Pace and
But they
RBA.
go to Gary to pick up people for UPS. But Illinois.
Next question.
Number one, y'all put these Republicans in here. Y'all knew what they was getting ready to do. They was gonna take every dime that Hammond had and stop these buses. What you need to do, go to the library on the 6th, stand up. I want wheelchair, cane, walker, all at the library, because I will be there. Let them take some of that money out their pocket, put toward these seniors. Right. We have more seniors on these buses on Saturday, out going to the doctor, hospital, paying their bills, grocery store. So why are they going to do this to the senior? Sooner or later, I'm going to be a senior. Right. So in order to do this, we got to come out in numbers.
Thank you. I love it. Appreciate it. All right. Donna.
Sure.
How many questions do we have left?
One.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. That's good news. I mean, I love you guys. Believe me. That's good news. So, any other issues on busing? I think we've made it very clear where we stand in regards to busing, and I appreciate the comments. Yes, sir. Because we have no money. They have no money. That's part of the problem, sir. They're like Bobby indicated. They're cutting down from 2 routes an hour to 1 route now. They're not doing it because they're being mean. They're doing it because they have no money. And I tell you, that 1 route's going to go to 0 routes July 1st, 2012. In 1 year. If they get no funding source, you will see no more buses. And I'm not being dramatic. I don't know if here comes our train blowing its whistle. Thank you very much, train. We're not being dramatic. the buses will go away if they don't find a permanent source of funding. And that's something a lot of us should pay attention to. So, last question.
Sir, how do I apply for the senior property tax credit?
Senior property tax exemption. Bobby, grab the microphone.
You betcha. This is actually going to ironically transition well. The senior citizens tax credit, what they're talking about is the mayor and the city council in the city of Hammond, and only in the city of Hammond, have authorized up to a $500 tax credit, property tax credit for your home if you're a senior, blind, or disabled. And the way that you can apply for that tax credit is at the county building in Crown Point. Now, I was on the phone with them when I first took over this position. I said, how is somebody that's blind or disabled supposed to come to the county building to apply for this credit? Can they do it online? They said, no, you have to come to the building. I said, well, how are they going to get there? They said, take a bus. But that's what you'll do. The same place where if you're a homeowner and you've applied for your homestead deduction, that very same place, they have the forms you'll fill out, and they have certain criteria that you'll have to meet. And if you meet those criteria, they'll put that exemption on your property tax bill. And then what the county does is they send me your information and they say, you know, John Smith at 123 Main Street has a senior disabled or blind exemption. And then what we do is we credit your property tax bill up to $500. That credit will come out this year right around the same time as your second tax installment comes out. Okay? Now if you don't have that credit and you're going to apply for it this year, because we're a year behind in taxes, it's not going to apply on your tax bill this year. It'll apply next year. Because right now we're paying the 2010 taxes. They're 010, pay 11. Okay? So if you apply and get it this year, you're not going to see it this year, but you will see it for 11, pay 12.
Okay. Thank you, Bobby.
Provided you're a homeowner.
Right.
Right.
It's for property tax payments, right? So if you don't have property taxes, you don't apply. Okay? Any other questions? Ken?
Yes, I asked that question.
Okay.
Mayor, the last time I saw you, your hair was a little shorter. Glad to see your hair.
Thank you. Kendra, I shaved my head for cancer charities this year. That was in March, so.
And I am a Navy veteran also.
Navy veteran, good.
You're talking about the county courthouse in Crown Point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You gotta go all the way over there.
Yeah, the county seat, right. That's where you get the property tax exemption, and that's where you get your senior and disabled exemption. Okay? And that is ironic how Bobby points out that we have to do business at this place, and there's talk about shutting down the bus system that would get you there. So that begs the question, if you're a senior and you don't have access to a vehicle, how are you going to do business with the county? Anyway, yes, Mr. McCarthy.
All right, I got a question for the general. You know, everybody said that, you know, that person that's a handicap could care less about the politics everybody's trying to stir up. The fact is that the county is Democrat, right? So why can't a satellite office be held in the court building on Russell Street with county board approval, which is all Democrats? So let's take the politics out of it and call it as it is. Consolidate, use some common sense, talk to some people, deliver the services that are necessary for those people that need them. Talk politics all you want, rant and rave about who's doing what where, but you've got a solution. And that's the Democrats that are holding the county office now.
What are you talking about? What is it?
I'm talking about taking a bus down to Crown Point.
That's the only place we can do that, Joe.
You can talk to the county board commissioner.
They're talking about shutting down downtown.
That's the county that's talking about it.
I agree.
Okay, so the county is talking about shutting down a service that is needed in the city.
Totally agree.
So it's Democrat control, but I mean, if you're going to ramp this thing up,
it's
you're going to ramp it up.
It's a north-south thing. It really is.
Well, okay. When you go with the RBA, I understand all that. But if you're talking about trips to Crown Point for taxes, you could do a satellite office on Russell Street, county board approval. All you have to do is try to present that offer. Has anyone presented that idea to the county councilman?
Knock yourself out.
There you go.
Yeah.
All Democrat. I'm a Republican.
It's not scoring any points right now.
No, it's an absolute truth. It's an absolute truth. It's an absolute truth. You can wrap it up if you want to, guys. That's the bottom line.
Joe, no offense, but the person that was pushing the closing of the Hammond Courthouse was Larry Blanchard. Larry's a Republican.
How many Democrats you got on there?
That's why they didn't close it.
But the fact is, I'm using all the authority I have as chairman to keep it open. I mean, believe me, Fran and I, and she's the county commissioner, she's 100% Hammond. Her and I have had many conversations about keeping that open. It's super important. Totally agree. It's important for voting. That's one of the reasons I like having it, is we can vote out of that location. That's a good thing. So, anyway, sorry if I offended you. Nice seeing everybody. This has been a great Mayor's Night Out. I would like to remind you, next month there is no Mayor's Night Out. We will come back August 31st, 6th District, Morton High School. 2nd District, Councilman Al Salinas. Everybody else, thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming to Mayor's Night. Enjoy.